Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're in the aftermarket hours, so let's recap what happened today on Monday, February 1st. So, start off with, we will look at futures. ES, this is futures for S&P 500. S&P was up on the day, close to 2%, right? It's like 1.75%. Dow was up about 0.7%. Nasdaq was the big gainer today, up over 2%, and same with Russell 2000, up over 2% today. So huge influx back into the market on the buy side. I didn't see a lot of news that really provided a catalyst for it. Construction and manufacturing numbers were just about in line. They beat just barely, but just about in line. And then there was also news that the U.S. government has misplaced 20 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine, so I don't see that as positive sentiment, but it could just be buying pressure from easing of fears from the retail side of Wall Street bets, Gamestop, and all that noise, which I don't think is over yet, but we'll see what happens. So here, if we go to the lower left here, it's a 15-minute chart. Low 1656 was yesterday. On Sundays, futures opens right at 3 o'clock or 6 p.m. on the East Coast. So 36.56, we hit a high today, 37.77. So 120 point range, almost a 3.5% range. So that's pretty big spread for the day. If you go to the right on a daily here, got overhead resistance for the 9 and the 22. So we'll see if we can gap up tomorrow, but we do have some selling off here after hours right here to 1 o'clock to close. Big candle, looks like we could be pushing lower after hours for futures. So from there, let's just jump into GameStop. I won't talk about it too much because I'm going to have another video out on that tonight about shorting and other things about that. But downtrend all pre-market, open, big drop, comes out back, bounces back, break the open high, but can't break pre-market resistance high, and then we just sell off. Get a little bounce here in this 260, 250 range, right? 252, which kind of coincides if you look over here on the right on the daily, right? Low 249, low 250, and then we had an open here 265, so there's some resistance in that range, but doesn't hold for long, rolls over later in the day, and then basically sell off all morning, get another bounce back up to about the 200 on the 1 minute, and then sell off. And then you see the same thing on the 5-minute chart, can't break the 50, continues to sell off. So be interesting to see what happens for tomorrow, as a lot of options that expired on Friday, they have to be exercised, which means those shares have to be bought by tomorrow to go through the clearinghouse. So we'll see what happens there. AMC, somewhat similar chart, except they had a better pre-market off its bounce at 430. Sends it up, but again, right on the open, just gets slammed, right? Ask got slammed, sends it down, bounces back, can't get above the open high, and sells off. Steady downstream all day, slight pullback early morning, sells off after hours, got a little bounce, but AMC actually was green on the day by 4 cents, so again, I think this is another thing. We'll see what happens, because after hours of pre-market, again, I think will probably be crazy with price ranges for today and tomorrow morning. So we'll see what happens there. SPCE, Virgin Galactic, had probably the best day out of heavily shorted names. Pretty big uptrend all day. I mentioned in the pre-market video that I was looking at over 50 bucks. So if you look here in the morning, get a false breakout here over 50. Comes back but sells in the moving average. Some resistance here in the $48 area, and that also coincides with the 15.9 and the 522 here. So good buying support here to enter in back in. And as we send it up to 52, and then just a big continuation all day. So if we go to the daily to look for a swing type play, right? So obviously the only point of resistance now is all-time highs 59.43. So I'd be looking for that to be taken out by the end of this week, potentially maybe even tomorrow, as after hours we are spiking here. There might be some news on that. I didn't look. That was from earlier today. So yeah, so let's see if it keeps moving higher in after hours. Next will be Fubo. It had a price target increase by Wedbush, and it was a steady uptrend today. Pretty similar chart to Virgin Galactic, all morning running up. I think this is another good swing trade. So into the last week right here, bottom right, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, sell off back into the 9 moving average, push higher, right? So today, after I got over this 46.35 area, right, probably could have been long. And you see here, as the 22 moved up through 46, I mean, that's pretty solid support that the moving average provided, especially here as we get into like the 5 range too. So we had some support there, carried it all day. This is heavily shorted too, above 50%. So if we get above this 57 level here, which we could be knocking at tomorrow, right, we could squeeze all the way up to new time highs. So I think I think Virgin Galactic and Fubo will both be good movers for this week for potential swing trading. Let's go into just a quick TCHB, because I mentioned that in the pre-market video. Kind of sell off in the morning. I honestly wasn't watching it in the morning at all. Stayed flat, and then I noticed later in mid-morning, afternoon, it had this big spike up, right? And there really wasn't any other news on it, so it's kind of out of the blue, out of the ordinary. Wasn't expecting it, but usually when these moves happen towards the afternoon, you'll get some type of continuation tomorrow. As you can see, there's still a continuation right now in the aftermarket hours, so we'll look to see how it moves tomorrow morning. I spoke about Nio and Tesla. So Nio actually opened and sold off, right? Got to about 59.2 and steady sell off in the morning. So obviously this was a sell the news type event to most investors. And this price action is actually kind of typical of Nio. If you followed it back in November, there were plenty of days where it moved higher in pre-market and then dropped on the open, and then at some point in the day it found a resistance level and it's just steady uptrend reversal back up. And if we go to the daily here, is right here, the candle that it formed today. Some people call that like a hammer, right? So it poked down, comes up higher, and it closed above the 22. So be interesting to see where it opens tomorrow, right? So I'd look if it gets back above 59.2. Look for it to take out this 60-70, move up higher. If not, could get a failure, maybe move down to this $51 area. Tesla. So it had a morning sell-off here, bottom left. Oh, you can't really see, my face is in the way, but that didn't help. Didn't help at all. Okay, we'll go to the 5 minute here, right? 5 minute gets bid up first thing right off the bell, and then we get sold off. So you go here, this bottom left, 15,200. So respects that as resistance, sells off. Then we get a bounce, and then uptrend almost all day up to back to the 840. So almost a 6% day for Tesla. See if it moves up the top side, sitting on the close right about the 9 daily. So we'll see if it pushes off that or not. And then silver was another big one, especially pre-market. People were talking about it from Wall Street Bets, but I actually saw a tweet from a Wall Street Bets moderator that said that only 3% of the ticker mentions on Wall Street Bets from the last week, including this weekend, were about silver. So it sounds like that message was really pumped through, CNBC, MSNBC, Fox over the weekend to draw hype to it, and it definitely did. But as you see, most of the day it was a pretty big sell-off, right? I'm not going to show SLV. It had a very similar chart, but I think AG had a better risk to reward just on price and price range here. But so sell off in the morning open, comes up to the 200 moving average, start sharp sell off, sells off till mid morning, and then we pick it up, slowly rising into the end of the day, and then after hours here we are pushing a little higher. So let's see if we can get some continuation, or if we get here to the right, if we try to fill this gap now on the way back down. And then some other plays I noticed today, some old movers. Jumia, which is like a Amazon for Africa type business, had quite a bit of hype in the last year. You see this run here on the yearly chart, $2.15 up to 65.5, really took off this last fall. A couple doji looking candles here as we pull back into the 9, starts taking off today. And if you look on the daily, some chop in the morning, and then steady rising, sharp increase here towards the bell, and then some taking profits. So got close to the all-time highs here, right? 64.88 compared to 65.50. So we'll look to see if it'll take that out tomorrow or sometime this week. It also had quite a bit of call option volumes for the 70s for this month too. So people will be watching this one. And then another one that was a company that's heavily shorted is Rocket Companies. It also had some unusual option volume today with strike prices 23, 25, 27. So you can see Friday it had this big spike, as it was also on the list of heavily shorted companies. But you get this kind of this upside down U shape here. Try to press in the 22, completely rejects 22, sells off, and that creates this doji candle here on the right on the daily. But as you can see, we got a base here at 21 from the last 3 days, right above moving averages. So I'll be looking at this tomorrow, see if it can cross that 22 level, probably push up to 23. So we'll see how that one opens tomorrow. So those are the stocks I was looking at today. If you're looking at any other ones, let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and we'll see you in the next one.